Porn and Pong, How Grand Theft Auto, Tomb Raider, and Other Sexy Games Changed Our Culture. Written by Damon Brown, narrated by Damon Brown. Audiobook, 2023, Bring Your Worth Publishing. Frankenstein. The 9/11 attacks on September 11, 2001, crushed 4 planes, 2 skyscrapers, 1 government building, and 3,000 lives. But the terrorist run served an equally paralyzing blow to our creative expression. On September 29th, New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani opened Saturday Night Live, the 30-year-old comedy show known for its biting social commentary. Bracketed by real New York firefighters and policemen, Giuliani had a serious opening monologue declaring that New York was still, quote, open for business. But it would be weeks, if not months, before any Saturday Night Live skits actually referred to the suffocating smoke, dead bodies, and smoldering cinders still stewing down the street from its Manhattan studios. Sony cut a scene from its new movie Spider-Man because it featured a helicopter caught in the web between the Trade Center towers. The soon-to-be-released Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle Collateral Damage was held for more than a year because it revolved around a skyscraper bomb plot. The New Yorker wrote that violent, explosive Hollywood blockbusters seemed strange after we watched a live show on 9/11 that was all too real. As America sifted through the psychological rubble, Rockstar Games released Grand Theft Auto 3, a dark, sexual, anarchistic fairy tale. It will become a lightning rod for our hopes and our fears in a way no other cultural expression on no other medium could be. The beginnings of Rockstar Games, and of Grand Theft Auto specifically, were humble. The series was created by a bespectacled, unassuming Scotsman named David Jones. As a teenager, he got a job working for Timex, which, in Western European countries, was known for its computers as well as its watches. Its Sinclair series, including the Sinclair ZX Spectrum and Sinclair ZX81, became the home computer standard across Europe in the mid-'80s. Around the same time, the IBM PC and Commodore 64 found popularity in the States. After 4 years, Jones left Timex and studied programming at the University of Aberdeen, Dundee, in Scotland. He found he was a natural at it. "I wonder if I could design a decent computer game in all this spare time," he would later say. Jones started a small company, DMA Designs, and created 2 games. He sold the second one, Lemmings, to Psygnosis, a well-established European publisher. In Lemmings, you direct a group of absent-minded, half-blind rodents from one end of the screen to the other while protecting them from high cliffs, blazing fires, and other deadly dangers. Released in February 1991, Lemmings became one of the best-selling computer games of the decade. It was ported to roughly 24 different game systems. It was also true to the creator. The sadomasochistic setup, to keep or to not keep cute animals from killing themselves, was reflective of Jones' own dark humor. After the success of Lemmings, Jones expanded his development team and began working on a cops and robbers game called Race and Chase. The goal was to create a living, breathing city with moving subway cars, commuters going to work, and actual stoplights. It would have a 2D overhead view. DMA Designs successfully made a functional city, but decided to scrap most of the details that would be inconsequential to gameplay, such as the traffic lights. International music publisher BMG just launched an interactive entertainment arm and agreed to publish Race and Chase, but only if it got a visual overhaul. The game's flat, bird's-eye perspective didn't look as sophisticated as 3D games for Sony's new system, the PlayStation or the PS1. The team spent another 18 months recreating the now-dated 2D graphic engine from scratch. Though it kept the same viewpoint, DMA Designs used a special visual technique to give depth. In real life, if you're on a moving train and look out toward a forest, the trees nearest to you will appear to pass faster than those farther away. This, among other factors, shows you if an object is near or far. In Race and Chase, the design team would make rooftops, overhead bridges, and other high objects pass faster than the busy street action below. Parallax scrolling was popularized in 1989's Shadow of the Beast, a visually stunning action game released by Lemmings publisher Psygnosis. Not quite flat and not quite dynamic, designers would call Race and Chase Viewpoint 2D and a half. While reworking the graphic engine, the developers noticed a major design problem. No one wanted to play the cops, Jones recalled. Team member Brian Bagalow added, "If traffic was heavy, you, as a cop, couldn't decide to drive on the sidewalk or plow through a busy park. We couldn't let the player do that and reward them. Instead, Race and Chase will reward you for being the best criminal possible. After answering a payphone in a public park, your nameless main character would get various assignments, such as driving the getaway car after a bank job or offing a disloyal gang member. You could also not answer the payphone and go on your own personal adventure, like stealing a car, running over a cop, or shooting up a neighborhood park. There were no consequences, sans a wanted meter that increased the police force after every criminal action. DMA Designs intended the game to be played in 5-minute intervals, not with an overarching story, so the traditional game goal of beating the game will be replaced by creating the most fulfilling, creative, and destructive experience within the environment. The city would be packed with pedestrians, abstract little bodies with big heads. Shooting, running over, or otherwise killing random individuals in a successive fashion earned you bonus points. Extra rewards would be given for cops and Hare Krishna members. It took DMA Design several years to create the complicated graphics and the unusually open world. I sat through heated design meetings which resulted in tears, Bagalow said in the later interview. Screaming punches and arguments were common. The designers realized that the name Race and Chase didn't make sense now that everyone would play the bad guy. With a plethora of car stealing, they renamed it Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto was released in November 1997. It received solid reviews and gained a small cult following on the PC. The game did not create much controversy, likely because it came out after 2 other violent games, the aggressive racer Carmageddon and the bloody shootout Postal, and any critical mention of the title was usually evidence in the prosecution of these higher-profile games. The game company Take-Two acquired BMG Entertainment and supported a few spin-offs and a GTA sequel, but few innovations were added to the series. Jones created a few games for the new Nintendo 64 system, then sold DMA Designs to Take-Two and created a new company, Real-Time Worlds. He reportedly got a low 6-figure amount for the DMA Design sale to Take-Two, which would be the last known time he would get a check from the Grand Theft Auto series. Prostitutes wouldn't come into the picture until Jones left the company. Dan and Sam Houser joined BMG in the late 90s. The 2 London brothers grew up in their father's jazz club and would stay up listening to vintage rap records in their bedrooms. Terry Donovan, a good friend of theirs, DJ'd for local techno clubs. His dad directed Robert Palmer's simply irresistible music video, which featured the middle-aged Brit in front of several pale, look-alike models wearing tight skirts and red lipstick, gyrating to his rhythm. Enamored with rockstar culture, the 3 friends got jobs at BMG Music. They found their brief stints in concert promotion and artist representation less than glamorous. Looking for a way out, the friends jumped to BMG's newly formed interactive entertainment division. One of the first proposals across their desk was Race and Chase. Dan the creative, Sam the visionary, and Terry the mouthpiece all loved the idea. BMG Entertainment was acquired by Take-Two, and Grand Theft Auto developer DMA Designs was rechristened Rockstar Games. Now based in New York, Rockstar Games would throw lavish, hip-hop-pumping launch parties, hold court in warehouses that could have easily had a rave party the night before. For the Grand Theft Auto 2 party, Rockstar reportedly required guests to dial a special line, leave their phone number, and, when called back, answer a random question. People were finding ecstasy pills branded with the Rockstar Games logo. Video game tastemakers openly laughed at the Rockstar crew. One major video game website wrote a scathing editorial, calling the Houser brothers and their marketing plan pretentious. People did not launch a new game with a Hollywood-style party in 1998. David Jones left around this time. The big party stopped. The friends stayed out of the public eye. Aside from occasional press releases, the public face of Rockstar went silent. Behind the scenes, Sam Houser would take a much bigger production role in the next Grand Theft Auto. Dan Houser co-wrote the script and developed a new, intricate storyline. They made heavy references to Scarface, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Casino, The Sopranos, Ice-T, and Ice Cube. You're still playing an anonymous thug, but the world of characters, from the Paul Sorvino-inspired mafioso boss to the overhyped gang leader, were equal to the average action movie. The characters themselves were voiced by Robert Loggia, Joe Pantoliano, and other Hollywood actors. Nearly 4 years after the original game, new 3D software made it easier for Rockstar to make the experience more realistic. Gamers were experiencing the new Grand Theft Auto on the ground, not from some distant helicopter view. The game would go into widescreen when you did particularly something cool. When transporting a prostitute to a john or planting a bomb underneath a truck, each mission would feel like it was a climactic scene. Grand Theft Auto 3 would make any player feel like a rock star in his own movie. Grand Theft Auto 3 was released on the PlayStation 2 on October 22, 2001, a few weeks after the September 11th attacks. Grand Theft Auto 3 became the subject of dozens of newspaper editorials, political discussions, and PTA, Parent-Teacher Association, meetings. Some argued that, like Doom, it was a virtual target practice for American kids. Rolling Stone and Time magazine discussed the impact of the game. Pop culturalists marveled that a video game could actually create social commentary. Game critics were equally surprised. As one GameSpot reviewer put it, "It's hard to believe that a game that has become an icon of the entire video game industry got its start from a primitive-looking and sounding 2D game." It quickly sold 1 million copies. This was well before the media caught wind of the virtual sex. Aside from 3 or so female characters woven in the plotline, the only women are the prostitutes that infiltrate the city's boulevards when the street lights turn on. Often dressed in miniskirts and halter tops, their curves filled with jagged digital polygons, the working women will catcall you from the curb if they like what you're driving. Stop your stolen car and honk the horn if you're interested. She looks around and, provided she decides she trusts you, will open the passenger side and hop in. You have to find a semi-secluded area, like a dirty alleyway by the trash can or a dim place under one of the Brooklyn Bridge-inspired infrastructures. Things won't start right away once you get to a spot. You have to be patient for a second. You can't touch your joystick. Everything will go silent. Then, a barely perceptible squeak. The car starts to rock up and down. It sounds like a trapped mouse. The controller vibrates. The hero and his entertainment remain quiet throughout. The car then abruptly stops after one last, quick, upward pump. Money, one of your scores, goes down a few points, while your energy bar increases. She gets out of the car with her pay and walks away, not bothering to turn around or to further acknowledge your presence, as if trying to forget the last 15 seconds of her life. You could get the cash back by going after the prostitute and beating her to death, picking up the damp green digital money from her bloody body. Killing a series of working women might instigate a police chase, but beating one or two will rarely get their attention. By the end of 2001, as more people learned about the prostitution, the media analysis of Grand Theft Auto 3 shifted from violence to sex. The game sold even faster. No matter how gruesome the latest Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Halloween may have been, viewers remain just that, viewers. Nothing in modern entertainment history equaled the power to destroy a like individual in a lifelike world with your own hands. Far more than books or movies or music, video games force you to make decisions. Steven Johnson writes in Everything Bad is Good for You. No other pop cultural form directly engages the brain's decision-making apparatus in the same way. Unlike a film, no one else made the decision to kill off the prostitute. You did. Well after his departure, David Jones spoke at a video game convention and admitted that the original Grand Theft Auto wasn't meant to be a revolutionary game. GTA came from Pac-Man. The dots are the little people. There's me in my little yellow car, and the ghosts are policemen. Rockstar Games had just released Grand Theft Auto Vice City, a tongue-in-cheek ode to 80s Miami drug culture. The main characters wore acid-wash jean jackets and pink shirts with white suits. Actor Philip Michael Thomas, from the iconic show Miami Vice, played your sidekick. Grand Theft Auto carpeted the media. Grand Theft Auto parodies were done by South Park, The Chappelle Show, and other cultural barometers. It was anticipated, dissected, and analyzed as intensely as the latest Harry Potter book or a Star Wars movie. Politicians wanted to know what people were thinking. Parents wanted to know what their kids would be playing. Gamers wanted to know what the next level interaction would be. Grand Theft Auto 3 had only been out for a year. Released in October 2002, Vice City spent the next year wrestling with Grand Theft Auto 3 for the #1 spot. Critics called Vice City a solid, not necessarily distinctive sequel to its predecessor, a Grand Theft Auto 3 upgrade with '80s varnish. Both games are selling millions of copies at $50 apiece. I think the video game industry was actually crying out for us, Terry Donovan told Wired. We don't make games about Puff, Magic Dragon. Take-Two released 2 other major games, the Riot Simulator State of Emergency and the driving title Smuggler's Run. State of Emergency was released in the wake of several World Trade Organization riots, the most notable one being in Seattle, but sales dropped after the initial controversy. Smuggler's Run was a sleeper. The Security and Exchange Commission started investigating Take-Two for several grievances, including backdating stock options and overestimating profits. By the end of 2002, Rockstar stopped granting media interviews altogether. When it finally does release a statement, it says the company is working on Grand Theft Auto 4, an online multiplayer game, but a later statement says the next game isn't going to be multiplayer at all, but it will be based in California. The public silence didn't quiet the many detractors. The Playpen Gentlemen's Club in Los Angeles sued Rockstar Games for trademark violation because some of the in-game strip clubs were named Pigpen. They lost. Similarly, the Sex Workers Outreach Program issued a statement against the treatment of digital concubines. Censorship is a blight on the freedoms we hold dear. We wholeheartedly encourage citizens to vote with their dollars by refusing to purchase products which encourage the denigration and destruction of prostitutes. By then, the series had already sold about 30 million copies. Grand Theft Auto was arguably as large as any modern pop culture icon, so few protests or arguments against the series could realistically be to tear it down, but to raise the notoriety of the critics themselves. Politicians and organizations realized that, and with the persistent press coverage, any affiliation to Grand Theft Auto would help them get their voices heard. In 7 short years, Grand Theft Auto changed from a small lightning rod to a broadcast radio signal. Each game seemed to further push the envelope and court more controversy. In a 2004 interview, it was clear that Dr. Frankenstein had no idea where his monster would attack next. Some of it does make you grimace, David Jones said. It's like watching Goodfellas. There are some scenes when you ask yourself, did they really have to do that? How far will they go?